Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Quakecon 2019, where our Day of Doom is well underway and continuing as planned. We did just see King Dime take out Doom 2, but now we're going to transition from one console to another. It's going to be Doom 64, one of my personal favorites. It was actually, unimportant fact, my favorite Doom growing up. It was my first Doom game and holds a really special place in my heart. So shouts to my dad, who played Doom 64 and got me into Doom that way. But it's a different beast to the other Dooms that we've seen today for so many different reasons. Before I get into anything else, I'm joined by Blood Thunder and King Dime. Went from playing early today to joining us on the couch to provide some Doom 64 commentary. And how does it feel being on the other side of the broadcast, mate?
Feels good to finally, I don't know, you get pretty stressed out, like getting into the runs and doing like Doom 1 and Doom 2. It's fantastic to finish them up, but it's like a relief to just come to the commentary side and chill out and see some other Doom games that I love.
Now, I mean, when it comes to Doom 64, our runner's going to be, you saw him on the video beforehand, ZELLLOOO. And, I mean, the big thing, I'm going to have a chat with him before he starts his run, but Doom 64 has some very interesting mechanical alterations. I think we'll use as a generous word to describe how optimized this game has become. But it's a game that has been just as contested as some of the other Dooms. There's been players out there that have been really grinding for those fast times, and it's a really difficult game. When it's really optimized, there's so many levels that can be super dangerous. But it was a Nintendo 64 title. It was for so many players a game that really got people into Doom because maybe they didn't have a PC growing up, maybe they didn't have a Doom port on the Super Nintendo or something like that. And it was with the N64 that saw Doom 64 come to light. And this game had more horror direction, didn't it? It really was one of the eerier titles they released.
Oh, for sure. The game's way darker, as you'll notice, which is kind of a problem sometimes. You have to turn up the brightness super high, and then things like vulnerability really can just blind you if you're not ready for it. But yeah, there's tighter corridors, more monsters right up in your face. Definitely a little spooky.
And we have to talk about the soundtrack by Aubrey Hodges, which adds all the ambience and the kind of disturbing and dreary mood of Doom 64.
I think anyone that's played Doom 64 as well has been on, when it comes to the soundtrack, Final Outpost. The Final Outpost map was always the one that kind of got me the most. We probably won't really have much of a chance to hear it while the run's live, because the map's going to be over in a few minutes. But it kind of really brings the fact where it's not so much music as much as it is just ambient. So there's some really intimidating ambience, and when you combine it with the low brightness, and even the demon sprites are a lot more intimidating. The Pinky from classic Doom compared to the Pinky in 64 is just like a massive monster. But let's take this opportunity to have a quick chat about ZELLLOOO and really kind of see what he's going to bring to the table and what we can expect from Doom 64. So you two, he might be able to hear you with a headset. I'm not 100%. What do you reckon? When you think of ZELLLOOO and Doom 64, what kind of comes to mind?
Just the wacky ways that he changes up the controls to really get through the game fast. There's a lot of strats that involve using lag and how he gets around that. That's really what comes to mind, is just the crazy control schemes, which I'm sure he's going to talk about a little bit.
And just seeing them switched out all the time, but neutral reset is interesting because I tested out some Doom 64 in the EX, and I did a speed run to get it up to 40 minutes. And the very first time I ever attempted using neutral reset in the console version, it took me 2 hours knowing all the routes and everything. It was more plain bumper cars instead of Doom.
Yeah. And I know with Doom 64, the biggest thing that really sets it apart is the control style. And I don't want to talk about it too much because I've actually been saving it because I want ZELLLOOO to kind of have a quick chat about it when he's ready. And I think I've actually just been informed that we might actually have ZELLLOOO ready to talk to. Or does he have a quick check with his control? I can hear you at least.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Yeah, we're still getting some of the tech issues worked out.
So I guess while we figure that out and while you're there, kind of run us by. So if you can just quickly, if at any point, hold up your pad when you're ready to go. It's a little bit of a, when you've got everything in place, it's a little bit of a Frankenstein's monster, but there is a lot of purpose to it.
So I have my run button. There's a hard-coded run button that obviously you want held down the entire time so you can run faster. Due to certain reasons I'll explain for the run, I have run mapped to down on my D-pad, and I have ghettoed a paper jam paper in my D-pad just so we can keep it held the entire time. You'll actually notice I have a rubber band on the side. We used to have it held to L, but I actually have to be able to get out of the pause menu, and if L is held the entire time, I can't do that.
And the tricks that come with it just mean the game is played just so much faster than originally intended. You know, there are some tricks that you can do that, unless you're able to obtain that extra speed, they wouldn't even be close to being possible. But I guess when it comes to speedrunning, that's always the most exciting thing. You know, just really pushing a game to its absolute limits, which you guys are so ridiculously good at.
Yeah, anytime you can find ways to introduce speed into things where you're supposed to go slow or take it a little more casually, there's always opportunity to find something there to save time, whether you're jumping over a railing, like in Doom 3 or Doom 2016, where you go flying off rails. Yeah, just finding those little small places can help out as much as some game-breaking bug that you may find.
But I know
it's all washed out.
from what I've mostly heard from a lot of runners is that the classic consoles can sometimes be a little bit more favored. I guess it's because of like the technical limitations means that there can sometimes be more interesting tricks that get found. Like, you know, like even in Doom 64, where you have those situations where you purposefully create lag in the game, you know, because it can only load so much, right? So there are certain situations where you can clip through things, or you can get by areas not supposed to by just slowing the game down to such a pace that you can progress. Which I can only assume that's got to be a lot harder to do on modern systems, right?
Oh, for sure, because there's a kind of an unofficial port for Doom 64, and you can't do any of those lag strats in it because it's not there. And a lot of speedruns, like classic things, you try to avoid lag as much as you can. Maybe you'll look down at the ground to avoid loading more sprites in, but this is the exact opposite. Like you said, he's purposely creating lag so he can do crazy stuff.
Now, I haven't been watching a lot of the modern Doom 64 runs because I actually used to watch a lot of Doom 64 back in my university days. If on the off chance that Peaches is watching right now, shout outs to you, bro, because he was the guy that got me just really interested in not only Doom 64 speedruns, but speedruns in general, because it was a game that was so close to my heart as a kid that, you know, my brothers and my dad all used to play together. And then watching not only that, hey, people speedrun this game, but it's a really interesting run. But since then, it was many years ago since I used to watch it, and word on the street is that a lot has changed since then, and there's a lot more tricks that I would never have seen before, and I'm sure a bunch of you at home will probably be in the same boat. But what kind of tricks are we going to expect from Doom 64?
There's going to be a lot of running. A lot of very, very fast running. You're going to be able to skip triggers with it. You're going to be able to make gap jumps with it. The speed really carries it through.
I'm actually eyeing up during the practice, and one of the important things actually, which we've done here, because we know that Doom 64 is just by itself a very, very dark game, and not only dark as in tone, but genuinely the game is almost pitch black. You have to turn the brightness all the way up to be able to see it properly. And the big thing about the monitors we're using is that the moment we get invincibility, it's and it's pure white. You can't see a thing. So we're having to make sure that there's a little bit of calibration and that we're ready to go. Thanks for sticking with us, by the way. You know, obviously there's going to be a little bit of delay there while we make sure that the setup is optimized. But the important thing is making sure that all of you guys here doing your runs are able to really play in as optimal of a setting as you can. Because I'm pretty sure you guys can agree that as long as you're comfortable and nothing is like feels weird, it will help a run so much.
Yeah, we've gotten to the point where we could, like we were saying for Dime's runs, he could do it blindfolded, but it's not like we want to do it blindfolded. We don't want to have to go through a white screen where we can't see anything. We prefer to see the map, even if we don't necessarily need to see it.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, the crazy thing about blindfolded runs is that that's even a thing that speedrunners are able to do, right? How many marathons are we watching now, and the increased rate of games that are being played where players don't even need to see it anymore. It really is like, you know, not only just a crazy speedrunning feat, but it's a gaming feat in general. And I guess it's a testament to just how much practice you guys have to get. But I mean, so what are your personal experiences with Doom 64?
So I picked it up because I started doing just like all the Doom runs. I just wanted to go back and just go through each and every one. So I spent some time playing through Doom 64, tried it on console, just struggled with the controls and the brightness and everything. So it's like, I run it on the unofficial port just because it makes it a little easier on my life, but I have to go a little slower than we're going to see ZELLLOOO go.
I was just interested to see the new Doom content with Doom 64 because, like, after the PC edition, it was ported on pretty much everything in sight on the SNES, Jaguar, 3DO, 32X, so on and so forth. But Doom 64 did its own thing, and instead of being like just like the PSX Doom, which was taking, it was mostly like the classic maps, but there might have been some changes to just.
I believe one of the PSX Dooms had the 64 sound effects, right? That's
Yeah,
one of the
yeah.
games that always set me apart as a kid, was that it did sound very, very different. I've just been told, actually, that we've been able to sort of get through some of the brightness issues that we just had, and we've been able to iron them out. So I do believe, ZELLLOO, that your run is ready to go as soon as you're ready to
Awesome.
go. Do you want to count us in, mate? And good luck.
Yeah, give me just a second, get back to the menu here.
And the one thing about when you're navigating menus is it's going to constantly go up because you're stuck in a forward position.
Yep, I've got down held right now on my D-pad with my paper hold. So I'm pretty much ready to start whenever we're good.
On your cue, my friend.
All
Let's
right, we'll
go.
start from 5. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, Doom 64.
All right, so Doom 64. So we're actually having a bit of movement tech at the very beginning of the game, actually. So since this game runs on an N64 controller, and this game does not have an actual hard-coded speed cap, we do a little something we call neutral resetting. So for neutral reset, we pull back on the control stick at first, and then we push L, R, and start at the same time. And what this does is this recalibrates the game's neutral control stick position to there. So when I let go of the stick, it will actually think I'm holding up. And then when I actually push up on the stick, the game's like, oh, he's holding more up, go faster. So this gives me a lot of extra speed that I should not normally have, and this lets me do a lot of the tricks in the run. A little difficult here. But we're actually coming up on one of those tricks right now in Terraformer. So there would normally be a puzzle to get this blue key coming up, but because I have so much extra speed, I'm going to try and just, oh, got that first try, just bump right into the key, clip into it with the speed, and then just grab it before the game pushes me out of the wall. So I still activate the switch after that blue key because it starts a timer on a script. And what this game introduced is something we call macros, which are little scripts that can be used for various things in levels design. So the script there starts at the puzzle sequence for the blue key. I would have to normally go around, wait a bit, and then grab a key after hitting a switch. By activating that script there, it prevented some crushers from spawning later because the crushers run off the same macros. So that just made it a little safer and a little faster. I didn't have to wait. So this is like my one and only break in the entire run, and it's right at the very beginning.
I imagine there's been a little bit of work to try and maybe skip this transition where you're not necessarily stuck in the building, or is that just something that's always been the way it is?
We've tried to research it, but we just haven't found anything yet. So I'm going to do one more key clip to get the yellow key early. And I got that first try too. That's really nice. That's very rare to get those first try. So I should clarify, I am playing the Be Gentle Warpless category, and that's for a couple reasons. This game is very, very tricky for a marathon because you cannot save in the middle of a game. You can only save at the end of levels. So Be Gentle just adds a little bit of safety and a bit of speed, but we'll still be going fast, and I'll be trying to play risky.
I mean, it really can't be underestimated just how hard it actually is to move when you've got the speed that we're currently looking at. It is not easy to control Doom Guy here at all.
So main engineering is one of my favorite levels because the game does some really cool things starting here where you rearrange a lot of the room's geometry by pushing switches, or what we're going to do right here actually is kill 2 lost souls in the middle, and that will actually cause the elevator door to open up. And that's one of the nice changes about Doom 64 is you have more level design options with extra scripts and such, because you're limited by cartridge space on the N64. So they made the maps more compact and a little bit trickier than their PC Doom counterparts.
And with the limited cartridge, there wasn't enough space to necessarily fit all of the monsters, say, from Doom 2 in, such as, say, the Archvile and the Revenant, but there are going to be some differences between some of the normal enemies, like, say, Lost Souls and Pain Elementals have different statistics.
Yeah, they did rebalance a lot of the enemies in this game, some to be a little easier and some to be very dangerous. Like Pain Elementals and Lost Souls are some of the most difficult enemies to deal with in this run. I'm going to grab the Soul Sphere just for a little bit of extra safety here. Don't need much. I'm sorry for the red flashes.
You know, when I was younger, I used to think that the red flashes meant that like more enemies would spawn or something, because normally a flashing red is like, hey, bad, why did you do that?
You'll see ZELLLOO only pressing the leftmost 2 switches because that is going to be opening new areas, but the rightmost switch just, I believe it just activates
Spawns an
monsters.
enemy. Yeah, it just spawns enemies in. Yeah, a lot of the levels in this game are very labyrinth, and they kind of have like cryptic details like that.
Here we're running by technically the second secret map that you can get to, which would allow you to get the first demon key and the unmaker. But the first secret map is on map 1 called Hectic, where if you destroy all the barrels in a certain order, you can go and find a teleporter to get to probably the most frustrating Doom level ever.
It's definitely the most difficult level in the game. Even if you go in with 200 health and 200 armor for that level, you can easily just die and choke. So Tech Center has the first instance we'll have of clipping in this run. So we found out a few years back that you can cause a lot of lag with the shotgun, the super shotgun, by firing it straight into a wall. And by firing it straight into a wall and causing that lag, the engine basically accelerates Doom Guy for a bit, and you can get a lot of speed. And we can do something like this, where I just kind of I reset my neutral reset for a second. I'm going to try and get on the bar. I might not be at the right angle here. It's a little tricky. I have to basically get stuck on the bar and get a lot of lag. We're through, first try there. And now I have to get out.
I'll save the second half of my clap.
You usually have better luck on this one. There we go. So we're out of that one. So those bar clips were actually only discovered just last year. We found out that if you can get stuck on the bar while you're strafing, and then you can do a diagonal neutral reset instead of a straight down neutral reset, and you can hold the strafe on button. And that'll get you more speed than just going in a straight line. And you have just enough speed to clear those bars. And this skips quite a bit of map.
And I suppose that explains why your elastic band on the controller is now in a different location to what it used to be.
Yes, because I have to be able to pause at some points. So I cannot use L, because otherwise I would just get stuck in the menu. So Alpha Quadrant has just a couple minor clips. We're not going to have to do like super hard clips for this one. I can just do small ones right here. There we go. That just saves a few seconds just getting into this room a little earlier. And then we'll be able to get to the blue key early using a little minor clip like that.
And in all of these levels that we're coming across, there was 3 separate level designers for Doom 64. So it was Tim Heidelar, Randy Estrella, and Danny Lewis who
Yeah,
were
that
working
sounds
on
right.
all these maps.
Yeah, they did a really great job redesigning a lot of the maps to fit within N64 constraints while still feeling very Doom. I missed the elevator. Yeah, that Lost Souls chasing me. Lost Souls are incredibly aggressive in this game. Let's see if we can get this. Gonna flip in. Gonna pray I don't end up in the void here. Getting out's actually surprisingly difficult. Oh, that's actually really bad.
Is that the void?
That is the void. I think I'm gonna have to restart this map. Like I said, this game can be very tricky for marathons. So that's why we're doing Be Gentle. It's okay. It's not too big a loss for that to happen, but that's a little glimpse of what will happen later.
It's just interesting how over time is we had like more and more glides and stuff from 2010 onwards that came into the classics, and now we have glides and void glides also in Doom 64 coming in like the most recent year.
Yeah, when I started running this game in 2014, there were only a handful of tricks, and the record was, I think at like a 38 for this category, and the record now is like a 26. Like, there's been so much progression in the last few years since I started running this game. So we're gonna hopefully not get void glided again.
And that jump you just did, I assume that's a product of your speed as well.
Yes, I can just barely make that. I don't have to hit a couple switches. I can just kind of skip ahead. Try that again.
Here we go, take 2.
Oh, I might not be on the right pixel. Oh, that'll work. I'm gonna use this one instead, and hopefully that'll be better. Okay, we didn't clip out of bounds this time. We're good. Just get past these Hell Knights and we're out.
Nice.
Okay. So for anybody that knows the next map, Research Lab, you know it's a pretty long map normally, but Neutral Reset's gonna break this wide open. I'm gonna try and skip some Lost Souls. I didn't quite get it, but that's okay. We can clear them out. So we can actually jump to the key early. And I'm gonna grab a safety right here. And then with this blue key, we can actually go all the way to the end. And normally you'd have to raise a bridge to get all the way over, but Doom Guy just doesn't agree with that. And then we have one last base level to finish out. And the map designer was like, hey, we're gonna taunt you with the teleporter at the very beginning, but it's behind a gated wall. I think you can see where we're going with this. And unfortunately, I skipped the trigger for it. So if you go too fast over a trigger, you can actually end up skipping it. And that's exactly what happened. But that's okay. I can just clear this room normally. It's not a big deal. Like, I will have to grab some extra rockets maybe in the next level, but this is not too big a deal. I would rather just play it safe out. I don't need to reload.
That's got to be satisfying as speedrunners, to take things in games that deliberately there to tease you, and you just bypass it to, like, have the last laugh, really.
Right. Okay. I'm going to just get on there. Okay, and we're out.
That's a very common deal to skip triggers in Doom 64. Like, you have to purposely go slow in some points.
Yeah, it's quite tricky. We'll see that in a couple other maps coming up where going too fast ends up being detrimental to your run. So we're getting into the hell levels now. And just like in Doom 2, we're actually opening up with another arena map, appropriately titled called Even Simpler, the sequel to Dead Simple. So we have to kill quite a few enemies to get her out. Starts with the 2 Mancubi. And then I need to kill 4 Hell Knights. I don't need to worry about the Cacos, but I do need to watch my ammo because I had to spend extra rockets. So I'm going to grab that pack. So I'm going to do another trick coming up right here called enemy despawn. So if I stand right here when the Baron tries to spawn, it doesn't spawn. And the game just like, okay, he's not there, just proceed as normal. And I only need to kill, the game only checks if I've killed all of the Barons, and it only spawns 1 on the map, so it's okay as long as I kill this one. So that should be it for that level. Yes, good. Interestingly enough, in this map, in the bleeding, you can actually soft block with that same mechanic. If I spawn block the only pinky that'll appear in this center room in a bit, there is no way to finish the map without some heavy glitch use.
So would you say that these, once you kind of surpass those starter levels, like mechanically, do these sort of maps change the game quite a lot? They introduce a lot of new stuff?
They start just getting more and more labyrinth, and there's a lot of, I think they wanted to kind of theme maps as they went too. So as we go deeper and deeper into hell, there's, gets a little bit more twisted, more difficult to solve puzzles. Looking at that face, not because it looks good, but because it actually activates a secret, and that secret actually gets me a BFG that I desperately need. So we're gonna grab BFG. Hopefully no Lost Souls are going to be in my way right here.
Always one of my favorite things about 64 was how the BFG looks in this game. It's so insanely cool.
It's great. Right, we're coming up on Terror Core right here, and this has a lot of triggers that involve killing enemies. So I'm going to take very specific routes to make sure they don't get lost. And this actually also does tie into moving too fast over triggers will not activate them. And that's actually a bad problem for this map, because what this map does, it kind of fakes bridges that rise and lower and by moving over triggers. And it just kind of raises those floors as needed. But if you skip a trigger, it won't actually do anything with the floor, so you'll have an empty gap that you actually cannot cross. So I'm going to be very careful moving past some of these triggers to make sure I don't get locked in, because I can actually soft lock here. We'll get rid of him, make sure he's not in the way. Okay, so we should be past the soft lock. That Mancubus was ready.
Is that the plasma rifle that has a slower firing?
Yes, it has lower firing rate. It has no cooldown, and it's still useful for a run, but not nearly as good as it is in PC Doom. So one last trigger skip I hopefully don't get. We're going to run against the door. No, the floor is gone. The floor is gone. That's a problem. That's okay. we can trigger it again, so it's okay. We just kind of go back this way. Okay, it's there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that mob right there is pretty nasty if you don't have a lot of health.
So the BFG in 64, I would assume, is similar to classics as well, where it's
Yes,
about pre-firing and...
Yeah, it'll lock in your angle and shoot the tracers as needed. So this is the first time, well, actually not the first time, but I do get to show off a keyless run of this level where I actually don't need any keys. I'm going to make this really, really insane jump to skip the entire level. So I'm going to line myself up in this corner. I'm going to, that looks about right there. I'm going to set up a neutral diagonal reset. And we just crossed that entire gap by running. First try.
Don't want to jinx it, but you've got a fair amount of tricks first try. It's going well.
I have to make up for the Void Glide, man. So there actually are some tricks that I'm not doing because they're even more difficult than the ones I am doing. And they would involve, they would actually be on this map where I would actually be able to use some lag clips to skip some really thick bars. But the timing and positioning on that is so precise that it's not really worth going for a marathon. So I'm doing a little bit of a safety route.
Anyone that's played 64 casually hates this room right here. It's so easy to die.
It's my favorite room in the run.
There's one more room in the Dark Citadel that I think might be even more hated. Is there's a blue mega armor that sits in the middle, and the floor just drops from beneath. And if you fall in, you're done for.
Oh yeah, it's
So
awful to hear. All right, so we're getting into the library portion of it. Did you guys know that Doom Guy has phantom hands? And you'll see what I mean in just a second here. So we get into the library. There's normally a bit of a maze to get to a switch, but you know, Doom Guy just doesn't agree with that. And so we're just going to just kind of go against here and press against the wall and hit the switch through the bookcase.
It's crazy how so many tricks seem to lend themselves from game to game.
It's like the hitboxes just line up perfectly for that. And that actually wasn't discovered until last year, which surprisingly. Like, there's just been so much development in this game, especially in the last couple of years. So
And a lot of the stat properties like work the same. So say if you're using rockets against a Hell Knight, you can still have the variation where you kill the Hell Knight in 2, 3, or 4 rockets.
Yes, that's true. That's something that the tool-assisted speedrun abuses a lot. It basically kills everything in the least amount of hits possible by abusing the random number generator.
These open spaces really demonstrate just how fast you're able to run.
Yeah, definitely. This is a case of I need to kill Hell Knights to make the key spawn. So we just kind of wrap ourselves around here. Nice BFG shot. It went for the imp all the way upstairs. So there's not a whole lot to this map. It's mostly just not getting blocked off by enemies. Because there's a pretty bad choke point coming up right here. I need to hit this switch, and hopefully the enemies will be out of the way. Yes, perfect.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if the Hell Knights get in there, it's bad. It's no bueno.
And all the Lost Souls, they're far more aggressive in this game, but they have half of their HP at 50 health.
Yes, that's true. But them being so aggressive ties into pain elementals being a pain in the butt, too. This is the last key clip I'm going to do, and thankfully all I have to do is just hold forward for that one, and you get it every time. There's not a whole lot else that goes on in this map. What did you guys think of Doom 64 back in the day, like as you were playing through the mid-game?
It used to just freak me out mostly because it's difficulty. Like, it's a combination of just how it looked and sounded, and then the fact that I always found that because it was very labyrinthy, you get swarmed all the time. And when you're like a little kid playing the game, that's not the kind of environment you want to put yourself in.
Yeah, when you're lost in the dark, you don't know where to go, and you just keep running into monsters. It's not a fun time.
And then the music gets weird.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah. It was a great experience, though. Like, really, I hadn't really been spooked by a game before.
Oh. Yeah, that's one change in 64 that is a little tricky to go around. The level transitions, they either fade in or fade out, and it can be difficult to navigate as they kind of blur inside. So hopefully, well, I killed both of them. I don't think this door is going to stay open. I might have to just open it manually. That's not a big deal. we just have to get around this Baron right here. Wants to give me a hug. I'm sorry, dude. Maybe another time. So coming up here, we have to do some actual platforming. It's very rare to do platforming in Doom games, but going between platforms of these sizes can be really tricky because your momentum is preserved the moment you walk off the edge. So you really have to just be lined up real well.
It's especially annoying to fall off the edge in that room because you have to go and find the right platform to get back up to, and it's a bit tricky to find.
All right, there's one last trick I'm going to be able to do in this level, hopefully. If I can get a lucky BFG shot in this room, I'm going to be able to kill everything. And there's a nice little trap at the end of this level if you play it casually, and nobody likes that trap. So everything's dead. So
Nice.
I stay right in the middle right here because that lowers into death. No way to get out.
I love how Doom 64, like, since it uses sprites and stuff, it's aged so well. It still looks fantastic, kind of.
Yeah, it
looking
plays
back.
really well. Like, thankfully, it's very fast compared to a lot of N64 games that had a lot of lag problems. Unfortunately, we're not going to see the Cyber Demon in this map because we're just going to be skipping everything. But don't worry, we'll get to see him later. So I'm actually coming up on probably the most difficult trick that I'm going to do in Spawn Fear. We're actually going to do that Void Glide that I accidentally did earlier in the run, and we're going to do some interesting things with it. So I'm going to clear this whole area out. I actually need to get past those bars right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up on health, kill the enemies, and I'm actually going to reset my neutral reset to a specific position. And we're going to cause lag off of a Cacodemon. So I have to wait until he gets point blank range, basically. That's not close enough. There we go. So that's part one of it. There's still several other parts. Unfortunately, the exit door is locked with the yellow key, but we have a way to mitigate that, and hopefully I'm going to get this first try. So we're basically playing the lotto at this point, unfortunately, because this is a lot of luck on the lag. And I'm just going to shut up for just a second so I can focus. So I'm basically going to clip into this wall at a ridiculous speed, and we're going to see the magic happen. If I can get it.
Would you say it's the toughest trick in the game?
It's definitely the toughest trick that I'm doing. There it is.
Yeah.
There's the Void Glide. So we're out of bounds, and there's actually terrain that I need to navigate. And I have to be careful because outside of this, I am actually overriding memory addresses as I go through this out of bounds terrain.
As you do.
So I'm going to set myself on a very specific pixel and a very specific angle. That looks good. I'm going to reset my neutral position. I'm going to count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to reset and go back now. I hopefully hit the right spot. Yeah, if you end up on the wrong angle or in the wrong spot, you can hit so many memory addresses that you will crash the game, and bad things will happen. So we're going to get back in bounds now. I have to use this very specific seam. I'm not close enough. It's very, very tricky to navigate here. If I can get stuck on it. That looks right. Okay, so if I did this right, this shouldn't exist anymore. And it's good. Now I just have to get back in bounds for the exit. And we're out. We're out.
Well done. That was insane.
Oh. That went better than expected, to be honest. So what we actually did out of bounds, when I was talking about overriding the memory addresses and zeroing them out, we actually zero out a memory address for a specific wall. And because of that, we can actually get right next to the exit room. Oh, I forgot the key. I've been doing that a lot lately, skipping the key.
You're too hype over the sixth trick.
Can you blame me?
No, definitely not.
So we end up being able to actually get into the next to the room and clip in, and it saves so much time over doing the level normally because Spawn Fear is such a long level. Now we have one last Void Glide that we're going to do. And thankfully, the setup on this is easier and not nearly as complicated. So I'm just going to hit this switch from all the way down here. I don't know why that works. It just does.
Should be just abusing the spread of the SSG.
Yeah.
I would guess.
So let's line up right here. That looks okay. This is also still a lot of luck, but we should be able to make this work. And nope. So I got to get back out. And we'll try some more times. If I don't get it within a specific amount of time, I can do a modified version of the route, so it's okay. But I do want to try and get this shown off. So more diagonal resetting. I'll go for it one more time. If I don't get it, we'll do a different route.
As you can see, you're always looking at just very specific pixels on the wall. So taking like a break from a Doom game, you'll have to come back and just remember your positions.
Okay, one last try. Nope. Okay, that's okay.
All right.
We'll do the backup route. So I wasn't able to get it off, but I would be able to void clip into the exit area, and then just clip back into the exit room. But this is fine. We can still skip a good chunk of this level doing this. It's like this is what the old route used to do before we found a lot of these clips, so it's okay. And thankfully, ammo is not very tight on this route because it's Be Gentle, and I'm getting double ammo. So I can spend the plasma to do this. So all I have to do is go activate some stairs over here. Swag shot. Okay. Let's just get rid of them so I don't have to worry about this. I'm going to use one other clip to get to these bars. Okay. And then the yellow door is just over there, and that's where the exit is. So wasn't able to show off the breakdown skip, but that's okay. We just go down this well, and if you walk past that well too fast, you will miss the trigger and soft lock down the well. And I've had a couple runs where that happened. So glad that didn't happen. So Pitfalls is one of the most involved levels in the run. There is a big void glide that I could do, but I've never gotten it to actually work, so we'll just do a normal inbounds route. And there's still some pretty cool things I'm gonna be able to show off, like this little ledge jump. There we go.
That was a funny discovery by teachers like a long time ago, and just actually testing that. Oh, you can strafe over there and actually make that
There's
gap
the
go.
Yeah, we can just skip a lot of this. So hopefully I can get this blue key right here. Oh, got it. So that doesn't save a whole lot of time to get, but it's able to just skip going around, so that's fine. I do want to use a BFT shot on this guy. Hopefully he won't be back when I get around, so now we just need to pick up the other key and get out.
Will we see the new weapon of Doom 64 in this run?
You'll see it for like maybe 1 second.
Oh, okay, 1 second, great.
That's enough for me.
That's enough.
Just show me the sprite, baby.
Yeah, the Unmaker weapon is a giant laser, for those who don't know, and it makes its debut in this game. But unfortunately in a run, Kako, please. Unfortunately in this run, we don't visit any of the secret levels and get any demon keys, so it's very, very weak, like even worse than the plasma gun, so there's just no point to using it.
So some runs historically have actually utilized the Unmaker, not only the Unmaker, but the hidden levels that not only unlock the demon keys for the final level, but they make the Unmaker more powerful, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Oh, in an old route, in the second last level, there's like little key bars where you could see the cyber demons, and the Unmaker could actually make it through there.
This.
That was a good sound.
Oh, I accidentally switched weapons. Okay, there's one. Yeah, this is actually one of the more difficult clips to do, because if I don't do them quick, I get mobbed, and there are arachnotrons in this area, so they're pretty deadly, even on Be Gentle.
Oh, cool fun fact about arachnotrons is they fire 2 projectiles instead of 1.
Yeah, they're weaker but faster, and that actually makes them a lot more dangerous. Yeah, a lot of enemies had the balance change. We didn't even talk about the pain elementals because we haven't really seen a whole lot, but pain elementals in this game not only spawn 2 lost souls, if you try and block those Lost Souls with your body like you could in PC Doom, the Lost Souls will actually explode in your face for rocket damage. And that can easily just kill you from 200. Okay, prep the BFG for the next level. This used to be the longest level coming up in the run, but we've made some changes thanks to the new clips that will help us get through a little bit faster. So I have to do a little bit of a kill sequence here. I have to kill the Erectrons first. That'll open some doors. And then there are some Spectres I have to kill. And then there are also some Hell Knights I have to kill. So each level of the castle has its own piece to do. I just telefragged that Spectre, nice. Did I kill all of them?
We have these
there he
wall
is.
cannons on the wall, and that's like effectively your Revenant in this game because they can home in on you and do a bunch of damage.
Yeah, they weren't able to carry Revenants into memory just because of the cartridge space limitations, but they were able to keep the rockets. So it's nice to be able to just reuse assets like those. So I'm going to refill on my energy over here. Nice little secret. We do get to see the Unmaker. Bye-bye,
Yes.
Unmaker.
That was sick.
I hope that's a replay we can see afterwards.
Yeah,
Alright.
if the pair of us capturing the highlights, can we get a highlight of that, please? In like super slow motion, so we can see 3 seconds of it.
Right? So this would actually be one of the last areas I'd visit because I would need the yellow key, which would be the last one you get. But we were able to clip in early. And the puzzle with this level is that you actually need to push these switches in certain combinations, and these open some other gates in the level that you wouldn't be able to get around. And those switches behind those gates will open the exits. Now I can clip back out, hopefully. That looks good. Okay. So unfortunately, there is a little bit of downtime here since I have to wait for the macro script to time out. How you guys doing back there?
Just it's kind of what I expected. You know, I mentioned before that I hadn't seen a modern version of this, and the clips were definitely the things I hadn't seen before today. And you can really see just how much time they shave off.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I just love that sky and the skybox, so memorable.
Yeah, I think this is the only map that has that skybox. That's great. It's like, it's a really, really dark game and hard to really get captured right, but when you can actually see things, it just looks so good. I skipped the trigger for the Erectron. It's like, triggers are hard, guys. So the rest of the level's pretty standard. Did I hit that? Okay. Like, thankfully, because of these new clips, we actually skip out on doing another trick where I would have to get the yellow key, and that used to be a huge run ender because not getting the key skip would add 30+ seconds. So thankfully that's out of the way now, and I just deal with all the other stuff instead.
How hard is it to micromanage making sure on certain maps that you're making sure you're not going too fast to skip those different
I
triggers?
have a general idea of where everything is, so it's usually not too bad. But sometimes on levels like Terror Core, it can really bug you, especially when you keep skipping the same trigger by accident. Okay, so we're coming up into No Escape. This is unfortunately the only time you'll see the Cyber Demon. So it's a shame. Oh, I missed the switch. It's the fade-in, guys.
I say going back to the fade-in that you talked about earlier on.
So I'm gonna do one last little clip here, nothing big, just gets me to the last switch early.
This level's gone through some changes, right, as well, to my knowledge.
Yes, I'm just gonna rush him. We're just gonna rush him down. No, grab that. I got some pretty bad luck on the damage, but that's okay. So bye-bye, Cyber Demon.
And on higher difficulties, there are more Cyber Demons in there,
There are
correct?
3 of them, and you have to kill all of them to progress, so it's incredibly difficult. I'm gonna grab the invincibility. So this is one last arena level where you need to kill everything.
I mean, this level really is, I think, the most infamous level in the game, where there are 3 gates, and you have to make sure that you kill all the demons that come out. If you were to find the secret levels, you can find keys to close those gates and make your life easier, on top of powering up the Unmaker, but yeah, this is normally the level, if you ever play this game casually or as a kid, that you got stuck on.
Yep. Fun fact about this level, it's titled The Absolution, and The Absolution was actually the working title for this game while it was in development by Midway. But they decided to change it to Doom 64 for brand recognition, and that's the right call, I think.
I know a common misconception is that the PC version of this was called The Absolution as well, which I believe wasn't the case as well. And after you've dealt with the marathon of enemies, you have the final boss at the end.
Yep. Oh, there are a lot of Lost Souls. Yeah, the pain elementals really bring Lost Souls into play, and I'm not getting very good luck with the spawns, so they're just everywhere at this point. I think I should be able to just BFG everything out at this point.
That's what I'm enjoying about this run, though, is that you essentially ride
There's
or
the mother.
die.
Yep, so here's the Mother Demon. There was the Mother Demon.
I got a really good look at its bottom.
And we're just going to kill ourselves and remain in hell forever. And that's time.
There we go. Doom 64. The mother of all demons is dead. And I mean, that was the level that so many people remember the most. But obviously, as you can clearly see, when you're trying to play it fast, you barely see the mother demon. It just appears and it's gone. But yeah, it's one of the games that a lot of people remember. It has a really cool ending where Doom Guy decides to remain in hell and ensure that no demon ever rises again. And as a kid, I was like, come on, man, why would you do that? But yeah.
I always feel bad for the bosses, though. It's just in every case, the BFG is just so powerful that they just don't stand a chance. It just feels unfair almost.
Well, I guess that's like management of ammo too, right? Well, I know this was one of the easier difficulties, just so that you can, so you can actually survive it. Because I know on higher difficulties, like even getting a deathless run in this game is incredibly difficult. And even down to the final strat where you choose not to go through the doors. You don't want to shut those gates on the final level, so you kind of have to dedicate to just dealing with the onslaught of demons, which is really hard to do. But I really hope we got that highlight we're looking for, man. The collection.
If it's not in there, I'm going to be real sad.
Yeah, me too. I think actually we all speak for that. And this was the big moment. Bang! Yes. Yeah, it's a great opportunity to see what I think just the different art direction, how it is, in many ways, mechanically, so similar to classic Doom. But oh man, this was crazy. The fact that you got this was ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm very glad that this went well, because like I said earlier, you can crash the game by running over too many memory addresses. And I've had some very interesting other things happen, too, where I went so far out of bounds, I ended up in another room with an imp that was tearing me to shreds, and I couldn't move and get out. So I just went from 150-something to slowly down to 0.
So how much time would you spend practicing a trick like this?
When I first got into this trick, I spent probably a good 2 hours just to get it work once. It was incredibly hard to figure out good positioning and getting good luck on top of that just to be able to do the clips, because the lag is a bit random.
But in so many of those moments too, it always feels like the community comes together to develop those strats sometimes as well, right? Where it's just the moment someone is kind of onto something.
Yeah.
It's, hey guys, I've got an idea. And then everyone kind of collectively works on it together. It's a real community effort, which is something that's just really nice to see.
Yeah, we have it's a pretty small community for Doom 64, but everyone's been very good about just kind of putting their input in and being like, hey, I can do this, I can do that, or have you tried this yet? And we've managed to just lower the time so much over time.
So are there things left to go? I mean, obviously, I know that the run from now and a couple of years ago is vastly different, because the clips are such a big change. But what does the future of speedrunning Doom 64 look like? Are there more theories being crafted? Is there room for potentials that people need to kind of explore further?
There could be. The main thing about 64 is we haven't routed out like a max category like the PC Dooms have. So we could definitely include like more secret levels, a lot more of the level design, just by having the 100% kills and 100% secrets completion. So there could definitely be a lot of development on those in the next couple of years.
I guess when it comes to speedrunning, there's always it's always like an open-ended question mark over a game's never fully finished, and there's always that one extra thing you can find. But believe it or not, we've already got our third game finished here on our Doom speedrunning marathon. But up next, it's going to be Blood Thunder and Doom 3. So don't go anywhere. After a few minutes, we'll be back with some more Doom action here at Quakecon 2019. See you in a bit.